I'll do it before we actually call to order. Good afternoon, everybody. Before we start the meeting, I'm going to pass the mic over, if I will, to Mr. Harris.
Hey, everybody. I'm sure some of you know this gentleman, Michael St. Pierre. Michael is a patriarch of the Wilson St. Pierre Funeral Homes here in Greenwood. He passed away Thursday, and I just wanted to take a moment of silence in his name. So if you could bow your heads. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, everybody. We do have a rather full agenda today, and we have dignitaries in the room as well, so it makes it a special meeting. And as we have our Secretary of State here with us today. To kick things off, I'm going to go ahead and call the Greenwood Redevelopment Commission to order here at 4:32 p.m. on Tuesday, December 11th, 2018. Amanda, would you please take roll call?
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Moon?
Here.
Ms. Gibson? Here. And let the record show non-voting advisor Mr. Alexander is absent, but there is a full quorum.
Thank you so much. First item we have is the approval of regular meeting November 13, 2018. They've been provided for your review. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
So motioned.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. First item we have is we're going to move the order around a little bit that we have on the agenda. So department reports, we're going to move Greg Wright up to the front. So Greg, if you will go ahead and come forward. And the first item we have is the NBIS request. This is the second meeting. And we have a presentation this afternoon. So welcome.
This is the NBIS request that we talked about at the last meeting. Sent out the presentation for everyone. We actually have some guests here who are going to speak to you about the importance of the project. So we'll start with our Secretary of State. The mayor to start? Okay. Okay, we'll start with the mayor.
Wonderful. Welcome, Mayor.
Welcome.
Good
Thank you all
afternoon.
very much. I want to thank you all for rearranging the schedule to get the secretary in today. As many of you know, over the past really 7 years, we've been working to make it easier to do business in Greenwood. Over the many years, we've heard how difficult things have been, and especially the process of getting permits, starting businesses. And we're very excited that we came up with NBIS, and we were one of the beta test sites to use with the state to start this. So the Secretary of State's here today to help us with this. You know, this is a huge push for our municipality, for us with NBIS to get this going first. We want to be one of the leaders out there in the state to prove to other people that Greenwood is open for business, and we want to stay open for business. And as we've been working over the last almost year, I believe, to get this going, we're finally at a place where we're coming to you for some help on this financially. Today we're asking in our next step for the RDC to help fund $400,000 in the software setup and some of the other issues with NBIS to get that moving ahead forward. You'll see in the breakdown of deliverables and the assets that we can show you later of how this is going to work and how it's going to help our community, but not only our community. Like I said, we're going to be the first one in the state to do this, and as we show successful in this, we're sure that other municipalities will follow suit with us and join in on the NBIS portion of it. There's going to be Tom Maggard is here for questions later. Tom's been the one doing a lot of the GIS work on this and helping be the direct link with the state and through Greenwood. And I'll be happy to answer any questions at the end of the meeting about this as well. Right now I want to go ahead and introduce the Secretary of State, Connie Lawson. She'll come up and has a few words to you.
Wonderful. Welcome, please. Come forward. Welcome, Secretary Lawson. Great to have you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Myers, and thank you, Mr. Tilson, on completing your service as president of the RDC.
Oh, well, thank you.
I know you've been a proud supporter of Greenwood, and you've also, I think the city is better today because of your service, so thank you. And folks in the room may not know this, but Mr. Tilson has not only been a supporter of Greenwood, he's also been a great champion of making it easier to do business in the entire state of Indiana. In the early days of INBIS, when we were first thinking about how to start the project, he was right there helping us make a product that served businesses, not government. And his insight into business formation helped us create INBIS, which has become a national award-winning website. I appreciate your willingness, Mr. Tilson, to not only be an active participant in developing the project, but also your enthusiasm to share its good work with others who could benefit by partnering with us or using the site. And for those of you who are new to INBIS, welcome. This is a project for all Hoosiers. The goal of INBIS is to build a one-stop web portal for businesses to conduct all of their registrations and their compliance filings with the state of Indiana. So for years, we have heard from entrepreneurs that navigating the red tape of government is difficult and it's a burden to starting a business. And we have sought to change that in INBIS. INBIS started with the online features of the Secretary of State's office, which are business registration, annual business reports, trademarks, and the like. There are other functionalities as well. And we quickly expanded INBIS to the Department of Revenue, the Department of Workforce Development, professional licensing. We'll be bringing more aspects of professional licensing on this coming year, and also the Attorney General's Office for Unclaimed Property. Just last week, we learned that the Attorney General's Office, that by coming on to the INBIS portal, they saw an increase of $40 million in filings coming into Indiana unclaimed property. There were several businesses that were unaware of that requirement, but thanks to INBIS and the way we communicate with businesses, they're now complying with the law. So while we continue to add state agencies, we've learned through our focus groups that businesses would like to file local permits on INBIS too. And Mayor Myers and the entire Greenwood team have been working with us to make Greenwood the first city to join the portal. I might add that we're in conversations with Evansville and the city of Speedway as well. I know that Mayor Myers has worked to clean up permitting and registration in the city, and we believe that by coming on to INBIS, Greenwood can benefit from the additional business compliance similar to what the Attorney General said and saw. I see adding city requirements to the state's business portal as the next in continuing to make Indiana the most friendly state, business-friendly state in the nation. My office has committed to investing $250,000 in this project, in addition to in-kind investments of project management, testing, and requirements gathering. My estimates would put this at no less than $100,000 in in-kind investment for a total of around $350,000 contribution from the state. So my hope is that you would be willing to help Greenwood with their ask of $400,000 and move Greenwood forward on this project. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for coming today.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for the kind comments, by the way, but I will share a little bit before I have Christian Maslowski come up. As Secretary Lawson mentioned, I participated early on in the development of the project, and my business, separately, we operate in 49 states, so basically every place except Hawaii. So we have a little experience of dealing with states and filings and registrations and all of that across the country. So when she mentions it's an award-winning website, I can tell you from what the state of Indiana has developed, it's outstanding. So when it comes to doing business in Indiana, the INBIS portal has made it very, very easy to do business. And so, I applaud the city of Greenwood. This is certainly an ask. I've asked Stephen to look into the legality of this. So before we bring Christian up, I would like to have Stephen talk about the legality of the request, because that was a concern we had last time, and be able to address the legalities. But I can say from a practical and business use, it is a very good resource for the state and local.
And as to the legal aspects, the Redevelopment Commission, as you know, is allowed to expend TIF funds on local public improvements, and that includes expenses reasonably associated with those economic development projects, development areas that is under your jurisdiction. And those expenses can include advertising, accounting, and supervisory expenses that are reasonable. And we have used those provisions in the past for the Hirons contract, for example, the Common Point 360 software purchase. So from a legal standpoint, if you determine that these are expenses that are reasonable and fall within those categories, then you would be permitted to expend those funds. And of course, assuming you also determine that this program would benefit, directly benefit the areas in question.
Very good, thank you. With that, Christian Maslowski, Greenwood Chamber President, welcome.
Thank you very much. Again, Christian Maslowski, Greenwood Chamber. Thank you, Mr. Tilson. Thank you, Secretary Lawson, the Mayor Myers. You know, this is a really, it's no secret, it's a really exciting time for Greenwood with all the infrastructure improvements that we had, the new businesses that are opening, the businesses that are expanding. This is a very, very vibrant economy. This topic that we're talking about, joining in with InBiz to move Greenwood permitting online, is a real game changer for the Greenwood business community. You know, both statewide and local Greenwood economic development efforts have been focused on attracting and retaining top talent. And I can say that more than ever, business creation is on the rise. People are starting businesses at a very, very high rate, especially for a strong economy with very low unemployment. So their employers have very high demand for employees, and we're still seeing a strong business creation rate. And that means that the business coaches at our office they're working at full tilt. What's really interesting is with the prospective business owners that are coming in, what we're seeing is, so say in 2009, very high business creation rates, because folks were laid off, they couldn't find a job, it was the last option. Now we're seeing that plan C, where they're gainfully employed, working full time, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, but they're starting this business on the side. And so talent attraction has to include strategies to welcome and foster this new business creation right here in Greenwood, because these are very talented individuals coming in to start these businesses. So we hope that they would create their business here in Indiana, here at home in Greenwood. And so as a chamber, you know, our mission is to maximize business potential. We do that through connections with other business leaders, providing them with great resources like InBiz, and advocating on their behalf. And so business is 24/7, and especially in today's economy. And so new business owners are handling the process of forming at night. Again, they've got a full-time job and they're starting that business at night. And they're doing it on the weekends. Existing businesses, they're running full tilt. You know, they can't get everything done when the city offices are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So this is an opportunity. It's just a great way to send a message that Greenwood is business friendly and ready to meet 21st century business owners where and when they are. So we like the idea and the benefits of partnering with a well-established national award-winning platform like InBiz, and we're thrilled to support this effort. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I know we have a presentation that's been provided. Are you going to be walking through the presentation?
I wasn't planning to walk through the presentation. It was just for the information of the board.
Do you have it available that you could pull it up? I think it would be good if you could. Thank you. I mean, certainly some of this has been addressed already in the commentary, but just would like to.
Okay. So we will just start here. So the first slide just talks about the actual project itself. What is InBiz as far as the online portal from the Secretary of State's office to provide a single source for businesses, register, set up, report, etc. We started earlier this year in the conversation on trying to get Greenwood included in the InBiz portal and describe some of the things that it would do to benefit our business owners and business creators. They'll be able to apply for, pay for, and track the progress of necessary permits for doing business in the city. So most of these permits, what we're seeing a lot of times is the application comes in, and then they'll have to call and see where are we at, how far along is it. With this program, they'll actually be able to see every single step of the way, what's been completed, what's left to be completed, what's the timeline, when do we intend to have it done, so they can keep track of it the entire process. So, as the secretary mentioned, they have already invested $250,000 in the project from their current budget. And in order to get our software for permitting, which is called CityWorks, to talk to the InBiz software, there are some costs associated with developing the programming that will connect those two things. As of now, we have negotiated the price on that down by almost $100,000 just through going through all their deliverables, looking at things we can do without them, looking at things that may not have been necessary to try and bring this request down as much as we could. So our actual amount that we would need to contribute is $396,070. We're asking for $400,000 to be committed, just so that if there are any contingencies that arise. But one thing to keep in mind, this isn't being paid up front. This is paid as the deliverables are met in the contract from the vendors. So once they've submitted a bill, Tom, who is leading the charge for the city, is actually going to have to make sure that they've accomplished that deliverable to our satisfaction. And if so, then he'll process the invoice through, should the RDC agree to fund. As I think you've seen with Christian and the Secretary's speeches here, the project would benefit our businesses and business owners. They're going to have time saving and money saving efficiencies through the permitting and reporting needs. We know that if they're doing all their state reporting as they should, they are already on the InBiz portal. So if they're going to be there anyway, we can get to them on the front end as well by being a part of this. As Stephen mentioned, the project does fall within the Economic Development Plan's marketing goals. Give the city and the chamber the ability to emphasize the city's dedication to making it easier to do business in Greenwood and taking a technology forward approach, 21st century approach, as Christian mentioned. As far as the funding, which TIF district to fund, we believe this will actually benefit all of our TIF districts. We have businesses throughout all of our TIF districts. So our intention would be to spread the cost out based on where we have available development space, because we believe that the new businesses created would be the ones to benefit the most. So we were going to go through with GIS, map out what space is available, and then just break it out pro rata based on that available space. This is a list of the deliverables. We have two different vendors working on the project.
Excuse me, Greg. If you could you go back that slide to the last bullet point? So
okay.
There was some discussion on.
The Secretary did mention that there have been talks with Evansville and with Speedway, and then Tom also knows of at least one other city that is getting onto CityWorks right now, and once they are fully implemented, they were planning to move in this direction as well. So we do know that there would be some others who are looking to join in as well. We have spoken about the possibility of having reimbursements to the city based on an onboarding fee. None of that's been developed yet as far as how much that would be and how much we would expect to receive.
Do you know how many other cities use CityWorks?
Tom, do you have any idea?
Just us in the state right now for the permitting stuff. But as I said, I know of at least another city that they actually are writing their RFP for next week to go about and use it. Now the other side, there's at least about 10 different cities who use CityWorks for an asset management side.
Okay.
So
there is. Okay.
And I know that Tom is actually at the at some of the professional groups has spoken to the uses of CityWorks and how Greenwood has been successful with it, not only in the CDS side, but our sanitation and stormwater are also using it for tracking all of their work orders.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and then this is just the list of deliverables to give you an idea of where the funding is going to. So there are two companies working on it. One is the vendor that has helped develop all of the NBIS site for the state. They work with the state, so they're doing one side of it, and then the other side, Wolpert, is developing the software that's going to draw the information out of CityWorks, put it into a format that the state system will recognize, send it to them, and then also take information out of the state system and put it back into CityWorks in a way that it recognizes. So they are actually a company that works with the company that develops CityWorks. They've done a lot of work with them, so they're very familiar with it. So some of the savings we recognize with them is just because of the work they've done previously.
Very good. Any questions for Greg?
Yeah, I had one question on the reimbursements, and I realize you're probably a little out in front on this. But is there any notion of what that reimbursement could be? I'm sure the fees are probably relatively small in the beginning.
We've just actually started that conversation probably a month or two ago, so we really don't know where it'll go yet.
Okay.
But the idea was that because we are upfronting all of the development costs there, that there would be some charge to anybody else coming on so that they are picking up their share as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Would there be a recurring maintenance fee to continue to stay connected through this?
Tom, do you know, is there an annual maintenance?
We pay for CityWorks, we have a yearly maintenance for that for our software, but for this integration with NBIS, no, not that I'm aware of. That there should be, I see Jim shaking his head no, so, no, we're okay with that.
Thank you.
Is that no or? No. Any further questions? All right, do we have a motion prepared?
Or do we have to
I don't think there's
go to the second motion?
that's been prepared.
It was presented last meeting, so this will be the second meeting.
Yes.
I think any motion would be in the nature of approving the request as presented.
Yeah, I think that's good.
The presentation has,
Does it have one in it?
on the project cost, the very last bullet point, I would make the motion that the RDC set aside $400,000 for this project to be paid as milestones and the contracts are met and approved by the city staff.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Lawson. Great to partner with you and the state and to see this forward, so thank you so much. And you're more than welcome. If you would like to depart early, we won't be offended, because while we try to be entertaining, it could certainly be painful. All right, moving on. Under new business, resolution number 2018-13, a resolution approving an application for property tax deductions for certain real property located within the East Side Economic Development Area, the Peterman Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing request. Has been provided for review. And do we have a present? Thanks, welcome. Please come up, introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dana Monson, Johnson County Development Corporation. I am very happily here today to introduce you to Chad Peterman. Chad and I have been working this summer on his project. Chad owns the Peterman Heating and Cooling. He is working on a project to move his company from Indianapolis here to Greenwood to make this his headquarters, building a new 20,000 square foot facility, retaining 90 plus employees who will move from Indianapolis to here, and adding an additional 60 over the next 5 years with an average wage of $19.45 an hour, or 25 cents an hour, excuse me, which is consistent with our county average wage as well. So I do want to turn this over now to Chad and let him introduce the project and introduce his company to you as well.
Great, thank you. welcome, Chad. Introduce yourself and your company.
Yeah, I'm Chad Peterman with Peterman Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. I prepared a short video to kind of get things kicked off, which kind of gives a little bit of background on who we are as a company, and then I can kind of springboard off of that into kind of what the project is entailed and what we're trying to do with the project. So if I can get this to work.
Absolutely, it's great. I'm impressed already.
It's not heating your air, so.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly.
Out of luck.
Small technical difficulty. I had the original embedded on my desktop. It'll appear here as quick as I can run up the stairs.
That's fine.
Okay, great.
I can kind of swing back.
Let's circle back around. So
Perfect.
give
Yeah,
your presentation.
Take up too much of your time, but we're currently located right around stop 11 in Emerson, in the Greenwood area, or in Indianapolis. So just a short drive down 65. As we have grown, we've added close to 40 employees this year, and look to continue to grow. Obviously, with that, expansion in our building is needed. So we found the site just down in Greenwood, right off Interstate 65, and what will be hopefully perfect for our building, and to expand the company that my father started in 1986, and that my brother and I continue on today. So the premise of the video is really our mission is not to be just another heating and plumbing company, but rather to make an impact on the people that work for us, and that hopefully make an impact on our customers and also an impact on our community is our biggest mission for sure. So we are excited, as Dana mentioned, that the project is a 20,000 square foot building, which will house our headquarters. We also have operations in Columbus, Indiana, and then Lafayette, Indiana as well. So.
And then you were saying that you have, how many employees will be moving?
We have, currently right now we have 98 employees,
okay.
And so we'll be looking to move them. By the time that we move in, we'll probably be closer to 120. So yeah, it continue to grow for sure.
Wonderful.
So I'm not sure if it popped up or not. I see something new, so we'll see what we got.
Try double clicking on it.
I'm lost at this point.
Yeah.
I watched the video, it's really good.
Yeah.
Anything else in there, but
No, it shouldn't, because it's not going to the video.
Oh.
Click on it. Maybe it's gone. Okay, there we go.
We have seen unprecedented growth over the last year. And some say, or come up to me and say, don't plan on that growth every year. And I gotta agree with them. I'm not planning on it. I can't stop it. You see, when you continually bring in the very best people this industry has, and they continually want to get better, I cannot do anything to stop them. I can only do everything in my power to support their growth. We are not heating guys, we are not plumbers, we are not managers. We are a team of people attempting to break the mold on this industry. We come to work hungry to improve personally and improve the lives of our customers. No one in the company views themselves as having a job, but rather a career in which their continual improvement not only helps them grow professionally, but more importantly, as a mother, father, brother, sister, leader. We have people waiting in line to be part of our team. We are the free agent destinations, and the people on our team only want to have the best people because they understand what a great team member means. We function as one, we function as family. It is not our mission here at Peterman to be just another average heating and plumbing company. It's our mission to become the best company this industry, and more broadly, this world has ever seen. When you hit that point as a company, our impact, as you see, becomes far greater than taking care of someone's water heater or their furnace. Our impact is affecting people's lives and inspiring them to be great for everyone they come in contact with. And it's my promise to you that everyone here in this company will achieve an unprecedented level of impact, primarily because we do it as a team.
Thank you for the video.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations on your business success. And,
Thank you.
And moving to Greenwood. So we have the application here for a tax abatement, 20,000 square foot building. Anticipated closing date. Have you already purchased? Said closing date in.
Yeah, purchased the land
Okay.
and are starting the building process now.
And the projected construction start date is next summer.
Yes.
And then operation start date is in 20.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a 5-year abatement too, right?
Correct.
We typically like to also ask for a firm commitment for completion.
Yeah.
Is there a firm commitment that you could provide?
I would say the first quarter of 2020.
So March 31st.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions?
What's the location of the property?
It is 370.
370 Commerce Parkway.
Commerce Park. Gotcha. Thank you.
It's a 3 acres. It's a 3 acre lot that's there.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2018-13 as presented.
Second.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Greenwood. Congratulations.
Thank you.
May I ask Campbell and Ms. Gibson, are you willing to sponsor it for the council staff? Thank you.
All right, moving along. Item B, resolution number 2018-14, property transfer from RDC to the Board of Public Works and Safety, 271 East Main and 366 East Main.
Actually, that's 366 South Meridian.
Oh, is it?
No,
That's what it says on the.
In the caption, that's what it says.
I don't know if it's wrong, we have to fix that.
So they're both on Main Street?
They were both on Main Street. I will print a new one before the end of the meeting.
Welcome, Kevin.
This is just part of Amanda's ongoing effort to help us clean up some of the properties we bought in coordination with the stormwater utility. I think this is it, right?
This is it.
We did 3 of them last meeting and 2 this meeting, and putting those back in the Board of Public Works so that they can pay for the maintenance of those properties. These aren't really development parcels; they're in the floodway. So it's really best practice to transfer them back to the Board of Works. Any questions?
Questions for Kevin? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2018-14.
So motion.
consideration of extension agreement, BBC Real Estate LLC for 50 Airport Park and Open Barrel Project. And as we begin this, a little background. So, as you all know, the project date was a couple months ago. That they were not able, for a number of factors, to complete it as of that time. We've been working in good faith with the BBC, the Beamises, and Quan Casey, and of course Lynn is their counsel. We've been working in good faith, working through a lot of the documents and just the nature of getting this project. So we have a project extension agreement that's been prepared, has all been provided for your review. Lynn's going to summarize some of it. Stephen has a few comments. Tonight we'll be looking to approve this, and there's a few paperwork things that are involved that we're getting really close. So,
thank you, sir. I am here. Todd is here. Billy is not here, not for lack of effort, but he is deathly sick. I wouldn't even shake his hand yesterday, so I didn't think I'd put him here. And Quan is not here because he is entertaining a group of people that are having a Christmas, and that's business, and I'm assuming you want business to continue to operate. But Todd is here. I would indicate thank you. I think we have worked hard in good faith to work with the city, and Stephen and I had our last conversations yesterday on the telephone and this morning early by email, working out the terms of an extension agreement. And with that, Stephen, not to mess it up, I would defer to you as to things that I believe we have reached an agreement on.
That's fine, and I have distributed a term sheet that details the basics of the terms for the extension agreement. Just as clarification, once you approve the term sheet, we will then prepare the formal version of it that has the legalese, if you will, that goes along with it. But the bullet points terms would be that the completion deadline in the current agreement would be extended and amended to March 31, 2019. There would be a release of $190,667.41 for the non-elite contracting invoices. That would be that release would be subject to some paperwork matters being taken care of, as was spelled out in my letter response to them last Friday. Third, there will be $124,281.89 to be released for the elite contracting invoices that were included with their revised payment request, which brings a total amount to be released out of the escrow funds of $314,949.30, which is of the $500,000 that was originally committed. Next, the future elite contracting service invoices would be based upon the agreed man-hour rates that were identified in our letter, plus a 15% contractor's fee. I would also note, kind of outside of the bullet points, in the letter, I believe we referenced that workers' compensation could be an add-on to that wage rate if they were to break it out and identify what that portion actually was. And they have on the phone, they indicated their intention to break that out for us, so that would be added as well. Next, the extension amendment agreement would provide up to $25,000 of the city's professional fees to be paid from the escrow funds, and then some release language would be provided in that extension agreement that would release the city and the RDC from any claims that arise or would have potentially arisen prior to the execution of the extension amendment. And then lastly, this term sheet would authorize the RDC president to release the above referenced amounts from the escrowed funds upon execution of the formal extension amendment and satisfaction of the conditions for the release of those funds.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Stephen on the term sheet? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adopt the term sheet for extension amendment. I guess providing authorization for us to enter into
negotiate and finalize that formal agreement.
Thank you.
So would the full committee see the the commission see the full report before it's signed, or we're agreeing in concept to what you just said?
You're agreeing in concept and you're authorizing a formal agreement to be prepared and finalized consistent with the term sheet.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'd make that motion.
Okay, I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, the building looks great.
Awnings will go on this week, and we're working on the back. So the
That'd be
awnings
great.
are-
Yep, thank you. Next item we have is ratification of donation of outdoor benches at 523 South Madison Avenue to the Indiana School for the Blind.
Yes,
Okay.
pretty standard, hold harmless, agreement, an individual associated with the Indiana School of the Blind called about some of the exterior benches that were attached, around the middle school, former middle school property, 523 South Madison. And so, the legal department drew up, hold harmless agreement with that, so that if they wanted to remove some of them and take them up to their campus, they thought it would be suitable in a specific application. And we thought this was a good example of, government nonprofit, coordination, on this. We've had several options in the middle school, and these have never been taken. The school had several options, so, but they found some value for it, so I think it's worthwhile.
Any questions for Kevin? I'll entertain a motion to adopt the youth equipment donation agreement, waiver and release.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mike, Mr. Campbell.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item we have is consideration of professional services agreement with Hirons Marketing Advertising for 2019.
Yeah, this is the exact same contract we had last year, and as far as key terms, substantially similar to kind of the ongoing thing we had the year before that. So allow us to manage the communications around the investments and the impact of those investments that this commission makes.
So I know there was a presentation.
There is,
provided.
we'd like to see it, yeah.
Yes.
You can pull it up.
I think it's important to go back and at least quickly before you start going through this. We entered into this relationship a number of years ago, and it primarily started with the announcement of Wursville Road, the interstate exchange, where we were somewhat people coming from everywhere. Molly did the best she could, and it was just resources are limited when you're doing projects such as that, or you think about the downtown facade project and the businesses that were struggling because they were, making sure that people knew they were open. And so we've had a number of projects over the years that require professional help to make sure we're communicating, getting the message out for a number of different reasons. And this is a highlight of the media coverage we've had, but as a part of telling our story, I have found it very important for us to not just do the projects, but make sure people know what we're doing, because we're trying to drive business to Greenwood. It's a part of the economic development, and this is a part of telling that story. And so this is the presentation they put together to highlight that.
Yeah, we asked them to highlight some of the things that they were able to do for us. We had pretty buttoned up releases when it came to a lot of our infrastructure projects. This allowed us to stay on the same page and let folks know a similar schedule. This just goes through some of the ones we've had at 523 South Madison, at Emerson Avenue, Streetscape project, which was Madison Avenue before. Constantly working on the website with some more of that planned for December. We are very active. This commission is one of the most active commissions in the city, and so therefore we try to communicate those initiatives, whether it be information about the roundabout in Smith Valley, or you see your NBIZ, or Emerson Avenue. We try to provide as many forms as we can, getting that word out to our citizens and people who travel through the city, and landing pages for the projects that we've been working on. Those will be changing over the winter as we move to our projects for next year. We also communicate on social media. We do a lot of the day-to-day stuff, but work with Hirons on particularly projects that are going to have an outsized impact are funded by the RDC. Being buttoned up, being methodical, being professional, how you do these things drives news coverage, which drives awareness and also lets people know about the investments that we're making, gets our name out there, shows that we are a force to consider in Central Indiana. I don't think that's something that was adequately communicated prior to this initiative. You can see here a variety of publications and variety of mediums. And it's, again, this is just this year. And then as Mr. Tilson alluded to, when we do have events, we make sure that they are done in a way that highlights all the stakeholders in the project and communicates to the public where their tax dollars have been invested. We also did a unique scope this year with this board contributing to the purchase of the 40 acres by Freedom Park and leading the purchase of 12 the acreage up at County Line in Madison, of reaching out to folks and seeing what do you want to see happen with this public land. So if there's any questions, answer those now.
I think Hirons has done a great job, and I appreciate what they've done for the city, and I know they have offered, at least on one occasion, to even coordinate with the council and help us out with a couple things. So I really appreciate all that they've done. I do have a question, just because it's open-ended, the contract is for a retainer, has a set amount for a retainer fee each month, but it also has a special project approval that can, up to a certain amount, that can be approved by the chairman and the vice chairman. But do we have a record of, or do we know what the total amount we've paid them in 2018 is? And
I don't know.
Just because I think it's important that we know that.
We committed to a much smaller number this year. We're more, because we've just gotten better at this, we committed to a couple engagements. One was about the infrastructure project, including the roundabout. We had one to lead that public input session on the 1265 project. We can get you that number. It's been fairly limited. This year we've had a couple. But we could include on the invoices going next year, what we've authorized up to date. There's no
the reason I ask is most of the things that we do, no matter what the projects are, there's usually a not to exceed amount, so we know what the maximum is. In this particular case, we don't. And again, Hirons has done a great job. I appreciate them and what they've done for the city. They've really had a big impact on our city, and I appreciate that. So
we will get the total for 2018 after this docket out in January, and then on forward going when they, you get the retainer, and then as well as the supplementary document that talks about hours work. We can just include what the contract is up to, so each month you can see if there's been any additions to it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to what Brent and Mike are saying, and that is that Hirons, I think sometimes having a partnership with Hirons makes a difference between landing Amazon and not landing Amazon, and landing Alta and not landing Alta, and landing a potential Iceplex, and I realize that didn't work out, but we still got the interest level. And, no,
wow.
That's Mr. President.
Man.
All the nice things have been said about Brent today.
Wow, the one thing I didn't get done.
Now I know why you're retiring. So in all seriousness, I would just throw my support for this contract again. I think they're very professional, very well thought of at least in the business community, and so I would wholeheartedly support it again.
Are you making that motion?
I am making that motion.
I'm going to add for context, as the board now is 7 TIFs, continues to grow, it's an outside chance of $10 million in aggregate revenue. It is, I think, important, and this commission has realized, as well as the administration, to have a good team of professional services, whether it's inside counsel, William Barrett Bukowski, whether it's marketing, communication support, the engineering firms we bring. But I think historically there was only a focus kind of on engineering, and we didn't cover financial reporting that we do better now. We didn't cover the other parts of what makes a organization truly function at a high level, and I think this is part of that.
I would agree. So I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on, we have nothing under old business, so we're going to jump to the capital project report. First item, Madison Avenue acceptance of certificate of substantial completion.
Yes, so I included the certificate of substantial completion. We're retaining, I think, $5,000 for to replace plans, essentially, to ensure that the plans are replaced at the end of the project come next year, and that the items on the punch list that we also submitted to you are completed. Project will come in underneath the $2,019,000 that was authorized. You see the contract there is at 1,887. That is not the final number. There's still some reconciliation, but the project this days in Madison Avenue is substantially complete, and very happy with how that came out. And this will be what allows us to pay out the contract minus the little bit that the architect recommends we hold on to for a few outstanding items that are documented in that certificate. So if there's any questions about that, I think accepting that or having a motion accepting that, then I can give the contractor the okay to prepare their last billing minus what the architect recommends we withhold.
Good. Well, I guess a comment first before we have a motion on this. I think it turns out to be a great project. You know, it's certainly changes the whole look and feel and the walkability and travel up and down, and just overall good movement in the direction we're trying to go. So I think that turned out nice. Any questions for Kevin? All right, I'll entertain this. Yes. You have,
No.
Okay.
No question.
Motion to adopt the certificate of substantial completion.
I'll motion.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. President. I was just going to say it'll be interesting to see when that opens up in the spring, and we start to see more of that foot traffic. And you know, I'm sure it's being used now, but it's cold.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see just some people out there and about.
Yeah, it will be.
The project we've authorized design of now is a Central Streetscape project, which hopefully can happen next year. We'll connect that down towards the commercial historic district and all the way into the park system, as we'll see in a few months here with the Old City Park rehab. So it should be interesting to see as people find it and discover it. Before, as I load up the next agenda item, I wanted to add under this that we do have under capital projects, the demolition of 523 South Madison is out on the street right now for bids. Those are due December 18th. Remember, I got authority from this board to put that out to bid, and at the January meeting, hopefully we'll have a responsive and responsible bid to bring to this commission. Can I move to graph? Yeah. So I'll move on to the GROW program status report. Commissioner/Councilman Campbell asked for this, and so we figured with the beginning of the year, this would be a good time to do it. You can see here what was the original RDC grant. So these were grants that were authorized when we were running the program directly through the RDC. There are a few on here that are partial. We'll get to those in a second. Here you go. I went back. Oh, sorry. We'll jump in there. These are the 3 grants. I know it's particular interest what the GCDC has approved. One is the planetary building, which is coming along quite nicely. Bailey and Wood, which hasn't really started yet, probably will get started more in the spring. And then there's already been some work done on the wrist building. They painted the side, did some gutter work, and tried to coordinate how to get some of their signage up. So then we combine them. This includes grants that were originated under the Redevelopment Commission, grants that then the last three there originated under the Greenwood Community Development Corporation. You will see that almost all of them were complete, and many of them, I'm sure their owners probably spent a little more than they originally planned, spent more on the owner side than the grant. In fact, I'd say that's the norm. They figure out other stuff they want to do, or they find other things. The ones that were not used at all, Mr. Doyle was close, I think, to selling his building and decided not to, and so that kind of distracted him. He could always reapply him at the GCDC. And then Mr. Blankenship sold his property on North Madison before using any of the grant. So that just rolled back into the fund. The green highlighted information shows you with $748,000 a minimum of the aggregate investment that's gone in through this. I know, again, multiple folks have been over that. And it doesn't include the sales transactions that have happened. So, for example, like Planetary Brewing Company, those two buildings, they purchased. The Bailey Wood Group purchased their building. One of the buildings that Aksu Becker had was purchased. That's where Piece of Cake is. That had a different owner before. And so it also doesn't include the interior work that was done. So for Mr. Crump, that was where Sugar Threads Boutique is up there. There was a lot of interior work that was done. We didn't participate in that. So there's a greater multiplier effect than what is here. But you can see that it has put a fair amount of money, public and private, into our key corridors. We still have almost $500,000 available for grants to the GCDC. I will tell you, there's a lot of people kind of lining up for it. I think after the holidays, we'll have some pretty, we're going to get a meeting scheduled. I think we have 2 pending requests. So, the demand is still large. Kind of went through and had some pictures. You can see this just shows one snippet of the building that the storms own, and shows you the level of where we brought it to. That sort of signage carried through with the 3 buildings that Jeanette Coombs owned as well.
What did we pay for the snow?
I'll ask Kenny Duncan. This shows what Mr. West did on Main Street. We've taken one of the big projects, or one of the initial things we did was a planning study that focused on the corridors, which is how we kind of delineated the boundaries of growth that are still the same as they are today. And you can see just the difference between what you drove by before versus actually having that was the first cantilevered modern sign we had out there, blade sign, and there's been multiple more, as you'll see. 399 West Main Street, where on your way out towards 31, surpassed, it was a beautiful home before our psychological care office, and surpassed even my expectation. This was just kind of situated behind Tim Crump's other 2 buildings, and that's what it looked like before, which was, pretty unassuming, and really cleaned it up. You have the hardy plank siding on there, a new level of just a different, I would say, higher level, really taking what was residential afterthoughts that got converted and bringing them up to something that, can really host a thriving professional business. Planetary, I apologize, I haven't gotten one since the glass went in, which they did their sign, for example, the RDC, or the GCDC in this one, sign was included, and you can see their storefront is coming along really nice. It has glass in it now. I think they had some insulation or wallboard delivered today to start working on the inside. That one has a huge multiplier. The GCDC/RDC is in 100,000, but private sector is in significant more. We're kind of working to change the face of Main Street, give it texture, lead it to more active and engaged. And when we get the streetscapes done, this will be even better. We can see we've incentivized these blade signs. And so if there's any questions about grow, demand is still very strong. It has done, as you can see, I don't know, something like 20 properties that it's touched one way or the other. I think at some point we'll decide what to do when we exhaust the additional 490, but I think that's only a matter of when, not if. So, are there any questions?
Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate the update.
Yes, very well done. Thank you. Any further questions on Kevin, the road project?
Thank you.
Next item, thank you. Next item we have is department reports. Sam, is Sam here? Do you have any updates?
You have nothing to report?
You have nothing to report? Okay. Next, Stephen Watson, RDC attorney. We have one item, the Neovia annual report.
Yes, you may remember that last year about this time, Neovia provided their report, which would have been at that time their 5th report, and they have been so successful and exceeded their commitments by so much that the commission chose to relieve them of having to come in and report orally. And so this year, all they needed to do was to report in writing, which I have provided you previously, but I'll summarize for the record that, again, their report shows that they have exceeded their commitments. They have committed over $10 million in investments, and in fact, they have invested over $15 million. And again, for the record, and those who might not be aware, the RDC's original incentive commitment was $200,000, and so I think that was a very good investment on part of the RDC. They also show that they have satisfied and exceeded their hiring commitments, and they have in excess of 250 employees at their property. They have paid in excess of, approximately $330,000 in personal property tax over the life of their existence there. And they had previously only committed to 176, so again, they well exceeded that. And lastly, they have paid property taxes in an approximate amount of $487,000. Again, showing that the investment has paid off in this case. No further action is needed.
Great, thank you. It's great to see a project like that come to fruition. It's certainly been a very good success story. Next item we have is City Engineer Daniel Johnston, and Mooresville Road Section 3. We have 3 items here. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The first item I have is a ratification of an administrative settlement for parcel 17. This is on the southwest corner of 31 Mooresville Road. The current owner is Ricker Real Estate Holdings LLC. They actually purchased it recently from the prior owner who we gave the official offer to. The original offer was $84,270. They actually countered with this was just a couple days after the November RDC commission meeting. They countered with an administrative settlement, $150 to account for prorated 2018 taxes due in 2019. So we signed off on that.
Okay, back up again.
$150.
That's extra. Are you saying
extra?
Extra. Okay.
Extra. Yeah. Oh yeah, not a new amount. No.
Okay. Thank you. For a moment, I thought you negotiated really well.
Right. So the new total amount would be $84,420.
And the original amount, was it previously approved by the commission?
It was
okay.
In April timeframe.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is my request that you ratify this additional $150 as an administrative settlement for parcel 17.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That approved. Next item, consideration of land acquisition parcels 15 SD, 15 SE, and 15 SF.
Correct. So what happened on parcel 17, or I'm sorry, parcel 15? This is the Greenwood Estates Mobile Home Park in the northwest quadrant of 31 and Worsville Road. There were 6 mobile homes that were deemed not of a condition that they could be relocated or moved. So it was actually necessary for the city to purchase these mobile homes. The appraisers were working on the documents, and we actually received D, E, and F, those documents about a week ago, actually. And so that's why on the agenda we have those listed for consideration. They told us that we wouldn't probably get the A, B, and C appraisal documents until after the meeting. We actually got them yesterday afternoon. So I brought them all here before you. With the thought that maybe A, B, and C would have to be handled as a ratification at the January meeting, just due to the emphasis of wanting to get those properties or those mobile homes acquired and continuing the project moving forward. So what you see here is just a summary table of all of those in alphabetical order, not necessarily the order as they're listed in the agenda, and their areas, the square footage, and this is just the mobile home. It's not land. A number of these do have an add-on covered porch or a tool shed of some sort. Those are included in this as well, but the land is actually different. It's being acquired through the offer with parcel 15, different landowner. And over there on the far end, you do have the amounts, and I will leave it up to you whether you want to handle these in one motion, but I am prepared. I do have a couple a slide for each parcel if you want to handle it that way in terms of the the request for approval of these amounts that you see here.
And I would note that each of these have been appraised by a certified appraiser, and then that appraisal was reviewed by another certified appraiser. So you have confidence that these are based on professional appraisals.
I think we can do them all at once. Okay, any concern there?
The 3 or 6, we can only do 3, is that right, or can we do all 6?
We do all 6.
Okay.
We'll let those walk on. So I'll approve that to be walked on through the agenda. So we'll entertain a motion to approve the acquisition of the 6 parcel numbers 15 SA through 15 SF and the amount as listed on the slide presentation.
So motion.
Second. Any discussion?
Could I get a copy of that presentation emailed to me?
Sure.
I don't see it on.
Yeah, actually, if I could too.
Okay, can do.
So if you can email that to us,
You'll load those, won't you, for us? Because these.
I would really like to start this day over. Yes.
Yeah.
Or if you just load it to SharePoint.
Yes, they all need to be loaded anyway. Because,
Yes, it'll be on SharePoint.
Thank you.
All right,
Before I leave today.
Thank you.
So just a point of clarification, these are just the mobile homes.
Yes.
The land, tell me what happens with
We've already approved the purchase of the land, haven't we?
Oh,
That's correct.
this is just to buy them and get them out of the way.
Correct.
On land.
Yeah, we approved the purchase of the land and the relocation of the.
Really, just the approval, just the acquisition of the land.
Okay.
The relocations. Those
Will come up later. Yeah.
Yes. But these
Depending
6
on how far
were deemed not of a condition to be able to be.
And these will come out of the Worsville Road TIF?
East side.
I'm sorry, east side, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I meant to say. East side.
There you go. Any further discussion?
Is this the list offer sheet that I said I printed and I didn't bring down? That they need to make a motion on?
Yes.
Yeah, we need a list offer sheet motion as well. That was emailed out at the end of the day. I was so kind to print it and I didn't.
So we need to amend our motion to include the approval of list offer.
So amended.
Okay.
Yep.
Very well. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next Next item, ADS Consulting, Adam Stone. I don't see Adam in the room this evening, and he's provided his information previously. Next item, Mayor Mark Myers. Anything, Mr. Mayor?
Not at this time.
Great, thank you. Next item is the claims docket, 2 items. We have the December docket, plus we always do the traditional carryover, so we can get that in this year's budget for things that will be paid next year for this year's expenses. So the first item here is the claim docket presented in the amount of $1,396,331.25. I'll entertain a motion to accept the docket as presented.
So moved.
Second, great, thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the carryover.
$7,200.
You got it there, okay.
$7,200.
It's the second buyer club you should have looked at.
Oh, that's easy enough. Okay. So the carryover, $7,200. Entertain a motion for the carryover purchase orders.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item we have is the annual appointment of Michelle Strawman to the Greenwood Community Development Corporation. I don't think Michelle's here this evening, but she has agreed to continue in that capacity. And I will make that motion to appoint Michelle Strawman to the Greenwood Community Development Corp. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Before we adjourn, I do want to thank all of you. I've enjoyed working alongside of you over the last many years, and tonight's my last meeting, at least with the formal. There's still a few weeks left in this, but I've thoroughly enjoyed working for the pleasure of the mayor. I mean, he asked me, boy, it seems like 6 years ago now, I don't know exactly, but it's been really enjoyable. I've enjoyed working alongside as we've worked on many projects, seen a lot of progress, a lot of good things happening. Certainly what's exciting about the Greenwood Redevelopment Commission is that it has maturing TIFs that have resources available to do projects, and that's what's exciting is when you have the availability of the funds and the projects that we're doing and the progress is made, and certainly the mayor's desire of what he's trying to turn the city into and move. And I think it's been a great partnership between the Redevelopment Commission and the city to move things along. So Mayor, I've enjoyed working alongside, so thank you.
If I may.
Oh, sure.
Notice I said not this time.
I noticed that. True political.
Mr. President, I just want to thank you on behalf of the city. The last 6, maybe even more years has been a blast. You have done a lot of amazing things. You have helped build this city to the place it is now. You have really worked alongside all the other commissioners and done great things for this community. Let alone our friendship, I deeply appreciate all that's gone on over the last numerous years. I wish you the best. I know you've got a lot on your plate. The city is very much indebted to you, so thank you very much for your assistance.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. And with that, we're adjourned.